Okay, so tonight I'm going to be discussing sweetgrass baskets and whether it's an Indigenous American or an African art form. The purpose of this is to shed light on the American Indian practice of sweetgrass basket weaving and to find out whether the Gullah way of basket weaving has any relation to American Indian basketry and basket weaving. Um, Yeah. So the background image is actually of an American Indian sweetgrass basket that is coiled. That's how it was created. Okay, so American Indian baskets. Southeastern Indians traditionally make baskets from bundled pine needles or river cane wicker. Southwestern Indians make baskets from tightly coiled willow or sumac, and Northwestern Indians typically weave with cedar bark, swamp grass, and spruce root. The Cherokee, Chitimacha, Kashada, Atacapa, and Seminole are often seen as the primary southeastern tribes that made baskets. The display of southeastern baskets at the Portland Art Museum states these groups worked with split river cane, sweetgrass, and oak and ash splints. The material is split into lengths and then colored using commercial or vegetal dyes such as walnut for black and brown and bloodroot for red and orange. And these are some images of Cherokee baskets that were in the Portland Museum. The top basket was made in 1880 and it's made of honeysuckle, oat splints, and metal. And the second basket at the bottom was made around 1890 and that's made with honeysuckle and oats and oak splints. So, a little bit of information about sweetgrass. It's considered one of the four sacred medicines among some Native American tribes, mainly the Ojibwe people. However, other tribes have also taken on this belief in medicine. It's just like when you come in contact with different tribes and you pick up certain things from them and things that you learn that you may think are, good for you and your people to do. And that's just, when you come in contact with different cultures, you pick up certain things that they have. So that's how this sweetgrass has become one of the four sacred medicines among those who it initially, wasn't considered that. So, sweetgrass also symbolizes healing, purification, peace, and things along those lines. It is also a circumpolar plant, meaning that it grows in both North America and European continents around the Arctic Circle. Um, there are two possible explanations for how the plant is found in both North America and Europe. It was originally in both areas. Here are two of the theories. One was that it was originally in both areas, in eastern North America and Europe, and as the continent shifted apart, that's how it became to be in both areas. The other theory is that Europeans could have introduced it to American Indians, but I think it also could have happened the other way around, where American Indians could have introduced it to Europeans um, instead of Europeans introducing it to American Indians. But it's basically the only sacred plant that is shared by both North America and Europe. And in a book titled A Genetic Portrait of America by Brian Sykes, geneticists say that they found indications of the movement of people from Europe to the Great Lakes region. And that movement is just like the movement of the sweetgrass plant. And it says that this genetic, I guess, link that was found or indication that was found in the mtDNA sequences of the Ojibwe people. So in the mitochondrial DNA of these people. And so that's something that I personally found interesting and thought I would share because to me that would also show that there's been some interaction, going on before the whole like 1492 so called discovery of America. So, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to share on that. Now, there are two different types of sweetgrass. There's Hierocloe odorata, and there is Muhlenbergia philippes. I don't know if I said that right, but bear with me. The Hieroclote odorata grows in cooler regions of North America along shady, grassy areas and in mountain canyons. And it's found in many western states, but it's also found in Indiana, Minnesota, Iowa, New Jersey, Maine, and parts of Canada. The Muhlenbergia philippes grows in warmer regions of North America, and it's found on well-drained sandy upland areas, brackish marshlands, and maritime forests. And it's also found on the South Carolina barrier islands and from North Carolina all the way over to Texas. The Hierocloe ordata is the most common form of sweetgrass that you'll see. Like if you're trading or if you're purchasing sweetgrass from somebody, it's braided and used in a lot of Native American ceremonies as incense, particularly among American Indians in the Southwest. You know, the Plains Indians. It's used a lot among them. It's used among tribes such as the Wabanaki tribes, which are the Passamaquoddy, the Mi'kmaq, the Penobscot, and the Maliseet. I don't know if I pronounced those right. Forgive me if I did not. But it's used among those tribes in particular, at least in greater numbers. So this is a Passamaquoddy sweetgrass basket. And this is the basket that I had at the beginning of the video. It's a Southwestern Native American sweetgrass basket. And I definitely, like when I saw this, I kind of got excited because I've read in other places online that coiled baskets was from West Africa. Yet here we have American Indians creating sweetgrass baskets with coils as well. And so being the type of person I am as far as research and not taking everything at face value, I'm really questioning whether or not this is just another way of these colonizers, these European colonizers, trying to suppress knowledge of American Indian cultural practices, especially among those in the South. And I'm going to share something that I experienced at my place of work probably a few months ago. I had shown one of my coworkers a picture of my jewelry, a picture of my necklaces, and I was like, "It's American Indian jewelry," and she was like, "Oh, do you mean African?" And I was like, "No, it's not African. It's American Indian." And she said it like twice, and I was just like, "No, it's not African. It's American Indian." And she was, a European woman, and this just goes to show how they stick just different ethnic groups of brown people all into one category in this country, in the United States in particular. And but yeah, I had to correct her. I was like, no, it's not African necklaces. These are Indigenous American Indian necklaces. And I didn't go into detail, but the necklaces that I have, most of them are made with stones that are from the Americas. So it's just interesting how just that mindset is, and just how, especially in the South, how it's so ingrained in people. So this is an image of Muhlenbergia philippes. It's used among the Gullah people and the Seminole in basketry, and it isn't the easiest to find because it must be harvested, and it doesn't grow in clumps nor in large areas. But it is easier to find during the rainy season. Sweetgrass, Gullah sweetgrass baskets. So these are a few images of some Gullah sweetgrass baskets here. The Gullah people live along the South Carolina Lowcountry, Sea Islands, Georgia, and Florida, and their culture contains some African influence. It is said that the Seminoles are a small offshoot of the Gullah who escaped from rice plantations in Georgia and South Carolina and then built their own settlements on the Florida frontier, fighting a series of wars to preserve their freedom. Seminoles are also said to be of descendants of both African and American Indians. And the interesting thing about this is that I've come across some Gullah people who identify as strictly African, and others who will say that they descend from both Africans and American Indians. So I'm like wondering if there's just like a varying degree of that ancestry among them. Basically, like, not everybody has the same amount of American Indian ancestry, not everybody has the same amount of African ancestry. That's just something I've been thinking in my mind. So this is an image of, I believe this is the chief of the Gullah Geechee people. I cannot remember her name. Okay, so Sweetgrass baskets according to Britannica. The Sweetgrass basket, also called the slave basket. This is from Britannica, okay? It says that this type of basket was made of sweetgrass, Melenbergia philippi, so called because it smells like freshly mowed hay. The art of the sweetgrass coiled basket, it says, born in West Africa centuries ago, is still practiced in the United States in the 21st century, chiefly in the low country of South Carolina, by the descendants of West African slaves. Slavers took Africans from the rice kingdoms of the west coast of Africa to coastal South Carolina during the early 18th century. There, in addition to working the rice plantations, slaves made baskets, generally for the storage of dry goods, though some of the baskets were so lightly woven they could be used to store liquids. The flat baskets were called fanners and were used in the winnowing of rice. Once the rice was harvested and pounded in a pestle with a mortar, a fanner was used to toss it upward into the wind, which blew away the husk or chaff. And so, the South Carolina website, I think it's called Siway, that was also pushing the same narrative. And the reason I say it's a narrative is because it's not 100% accurate. Sweetgrass baskets, as I have shown, are created by American Indian people. Sweetgrass comes from the Americas, not from West Africa. So how in the hell can a sweetgrass coiled basket come from Africa? It makes no sense. But let's clarify. South Carolina was the largest slave port in the United States. So people of many different ethnic groups, including American Indians, were enslaved and sent to other parts of the Americas or the world by way of South Carolina. This is actually brought up, South Carolina was actually brought up in a tour that I was on recently of a plantation that some of my ancestors were enslaved on. The tour guide, he brought up, he mentioned something about South Carolina, and it's just about how slavery was so big in South Carolina. And so that's why I brought it up. But anyway, back to this. Also, during the Miller versus Allen case in Oklahoma Supreme Court in 1924, it was stated that 1 drop of slave blood taints the stream and makes it African in descent. So they were basically doing this without care and consideration of what one's ethnicity was. So if you were American Indian and enslaved, colonists would still call you African, and that's still happening today. And that's why there's this major connection, okay? Well, let me back that up. When I said that a lot of people from different ethnic groups were enslaved and taken to either other parts of the Americas or taken to other parts of the world via South Carolina, that is the reason why there's a major connection between South Carolina and Barbados. Because there were people being enslaved in South Carolina, taken to Barbados, and vice versa. And even to this day, there's Caribbeans who live in South Carolina, really throughout the Southeast in general, but definitely in South Carolina and definitely in Florida. Some of those people I actually do descend from. But regarding the case in which they're calling these people who are not, all of them are not of African descent, but they're calling them African because of this law that was passed, that's erasure, and it's a genocidal tactic. And so I'm bringing that up because I'm not surprised to see that this type of ignorance on Britannica's website, okay? I mean, listen to the name of it, Britannica, Britain, okay? So we know who owns the website. But it's just really frustrating how there's always this ignoring of American Indian heritage, especially as it pertains to American Indians of the southeastern region. And that happens by both Europeans in America and the Afrocentrics. There's this just ignoring of this American Indian presence in this country. And that's just something that's so bizarre to me and disrespectful, which is why I do these videos, to put that information out and to show that, like, we're here, we're not all gone. And yeah, so this image is of a Seminole sweetgrass basket. So you can kind of see how it differs from the Gullah baskets, but still, it's used with sweetgrass. It's a sweetgrass basket. And these are Native American sweetgrass baskets. So the one on the left is a Navajo basket, and I'm not sure which tribe the one on the right belongs to. And this is African basketry. So since sweetgrass baskets were brought up and said to have been African by these people on Britannica's website, and by a few other people, I thought to share some images of baskets made throughout the continent of Africa. So image 1 is a Burundi basket using sisal fibers. Image 2 is a Ghanaian basket, and they use Veda grass to make that basket. And images 3 and 4 are Josha baskets using Imisi, which is a river reed. So I just wanted to share, because these baskets are not made of sweetgrass, because sweetgrass is not an African plant. In my research, I didn't come across any African baskets that look like the Gullah sweetgrass basket, like none at all. And again, these baskets in this image here, none of them are using sweetgrass. Okay, so I just really had to make that point. Now, these are images of baskets in Charleston, South Carolina. These are made by the Gullah people of Charleston. And I think these baskets are extremely unique and beautiful to the Gullah people alone. So when looking at these baskets, I literally see South Carolina. Like, I see I'm going to go on to the next slide. You're going to see what I'm talking about. So the sweetgrass baskets here on the left, right? It really, 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 really carries that energy. This is what I'm talking about, of just South Carolina, So just looking at these baskets, I see the live oak trees, I see the Spanish moss, and I see the swamps. When I look at these baskets, that lets me know the people who make those baskets are from that area. Because it shows that they're really a part of their environment, and you can see it through how they create their art, how it mimics their environment. And to me, that screams Indigenous. That screams that you have at least some amount of Indigenous blood, and that you're Indigenous to this land over here. So to me, these baskets show that there's, like I said, there's some Indigenous blood in these people, because of the way that they were able to tap into the energy of that environment to bring about something like these very unique, extravagant baskets, which embody the natural environment around them. And that's what Indigenous people do when we create, and that's what these baskets do, and they're just very beautiful. So anyway, this, like, when I saw these baskets, oh my god, like, it sent chills down my spine, because I'm like, this screams South Carolina. Just like the trees, the land, the energy, the vibe. Like, looking at those baskets, I'm like, that's it, that's totally it. So yeah, getting back to what Britannica says about sweetgrass baskets, it says Britannica said that the slaves used bulrush, aka needlegrass, strips of white oak bark, palmetto, and pine needles. So let's go into what these plants are. These are all native plants, okay? Bulrush, which is also called needlegrass, is found in North America all the way down to South America. Pine needles are from North America. Palmetto is found in the southern United States and the Caribbean. And white oak is found in eastern and central North America, as far north as Canada, and even as far south as Texas or Florida. So my conclusion about this whole entire thing is sweetgrass is a plant native to America. Using coils in basketry is also done among American Indian people, which I pointed out to you. And the materials that are used by the Gullah to make baskets are native to America. The sweetgrass being the main thing. And the way in which, like I said, the way in which the Gullah people weave these baskets is unique to them alone. It doesn't look like any African baskets that I've seen, So my conclusion is that sweetgrass basketry is an indigenous American art form. That's not to say that people who have some level of African ancestry did not want to, make these baskets and things like that. But just from what I've seen, what I've read, and just things of that nature, how that piece embodied like just the natural environment of South Carolina, I'm thinking like, yeah, these people definitely have a significant amount of indigenous ancestry, whether they know it or not. So that was basically all I had to say. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope this was eye-opening to you all. Comment and let me know what you think, if you've drawn the same conclusions, or if there's any other thing that you've noticed, any other art form, or just anything creative that you've noticed that's being attributed to somebody else that originated over here. Like, come on. So anyway, have a good night. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next time. I'm gonna be doing a video on my tour of the Belmead plantation and just what I picked up there as well. So stay tuned and hit that bell so you can be notified when I do post the video. And again, like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great night. Bye-bye.